Ronaldinho became one of the most famous footballers in history, won the World Cup, lifted the Champions League, won the Ballon d'Or, and made millions of people fall in love with football. But behind the smile was a story of tragedy, pressure, incredible success, and a career that eventually changed in ways nobody expected. Before the world knew Ronaldinho as the magician of Barcelona, he was a young boy from Porto Alegre who experienced a devastating loss at only 8 years old. His name was Ronaldo de Assis Moreira, but the world would eventually know him simply as Ronaldinho. He was born on March 21, 1980, in Porto Alegre, Brazil, into a family where football was already important. His father, João, had played football and worked at a shipyard, while his older brother Roberto was also a talented footballer. Roberto would become one of the most important people in Ronaldinho's life. But when Ronaldinho was 8, tragedy struck. His father died after a fatal incident involving the family's swimming pool. Losing his father at such a young age changed his family forever. Ronaldinho continued playing football, and his brother became an important influence as he developed. Instead of losing his love for the game, Ronaldinho became even more connected to it. Football gave him a way to express himself. He wasn't interested in playing like everyone else. Even as a young player, he wanted to experiment. He wanted to entertain. He wanted to try things other players wouldn't even think about. His talent became impossible to ignore. One of the stories from his youth came after he scored all 23 goals in a 23-0 victory, immediately attracting attention to the unusual ability of the young Brazilian. Ronaldinho eventually joined Grêmio's youth system and made his senior debut as a teenager. His reputation grew rapidly, and in 1999 he made his debut for Brazil's senior national team. European clubs were watching closely. In 2001, Ronaldinho moved to Paris Saint-Germain. This was his first major step into European football. Suddenly, the young Brazilian was playing against some of the world's best defenders while carrying enormous expectations. But the biggest opportunity of his career arrived after the 2002 World Cup. Ronaldinho was part of the Brazil team that won the tournament in South Korea and Japan. At only 22, he was already a World Cup winner. Then, in 2003, everything changed again. Ronaldinho joined Barcelona. The club was rebuilding, and the Brazilian quickly became its biggest attraction. What happened next turned him from a talented footballer into a global icon. Ronaldinho played football differently. He could control the ball with incredible precision, disguise passes, change direction without warning and create opportunities that seemed impossible. But his greatest weapon wasn't a specific skill. It was his imagination. He didn't look like he was following instructions. He looked like he was inventing the game while playing it. His smile became part of his identity. Even during the biggest matches, Ronaldinho looked like a child enjoying a game in the street. That made him different. Fans weren't only watching him because they wanted Barcelona to win. They watched because they wanted to see what Ronaldinho would do next. His influence became enormous. Barcelona won La Liga in 2005 and 2006, and Ronaldinho became the face of the club's revival. In 2005, he won the Ballon d'Or, officially becoming the best footballer in the world. Then came one of the most famous performances of his career. Barcelona traveled to the Santiago Bernabéu to face Real Madrid in November 2005. Ronaldinho scored twice as Barcelona won 3-0. His performance was so extraordinary that Real Madrid supporters gave him a standing ovation. Imagine that moment. You were playing for Barcelona inside Real Madrid Stadium. Your team has just dominated there. Biggest rivals, and the opposing supporters stand up to applaud you. That was the level Ronaldinho reached. In 2006, he helped Barcelona win the Champions League, completing one of the greatest periods of his career. At that point, Ronaldinho had almost everything a footballer could dream of. World Cup winner, Champions League winner, Ballon d'Or winner, League champion, global superstar. But reaching the top is one thing. Staying there is another. Injuries began affecting him, and his performances eventually declined. In 2008, Ronaldinho left Barcelona and joined AC Milan. He later returned to Brazil, playing for Flamengo and Atlético Mineiro before finishing his professional career with Fluminense. The later years were not the same as his peak. The player who once looked unstoppable was gradually moving away from the center of world football. But his legacy had already been created. Ronaldinho had inspired an entire generation of players. Children around the world tried to copy his tricks. His name became connected with creativity, freedom and joy. Yet his story is more complicated than a collection of amazing skills. Ronaldinho's career shows what can happen when extraordinary talent reaches the highest level, but also how difficult it can be to maintain that level. His career wasn't perfect. There were setbacks, injuries, difficult decisions and periods when people questioned him. But none of those moments could erase what he had already given football. Ronaldinho changed how people viewed entertainment in the sport. He proved that football could be competitive and still be beautiful. He showed that creativity could become a player's greatest weapon. And perhaps most importantly, he reminded people that football was supposed to be fun. The boy from Porto Alegre who experienced tragedy at 8 years old eventually became a World Cup winner, Champions League winner and Ballon d'Or winner. He reached the highest level of football while carrying the same joy that had been visible since his childhood. That is why Ronaldinho remains different from many other legends. People remember his trophies, but they also remember his smile. They remember the feeling of watching him. They remember wondering what he was going to do next. Ronaldinho didn't simply leave behind statistics and medals. He left behind a feeling. And that may be the greatest part of his legacy. When Ronaldinho had the ball, football didn't feel like a job. It felt like